And by seeing your beautiful face covered with scattered hair and your extraordinary smile. Not only that, but we are also attracted by your arms, which always gives assurance to the surrendered souls. And although we are also attracted by your chest, we are also embraced by the goddess, which is always embraced by the goddess of fortune. We do not wish to take her position. We shall simply be satisfied by being your maidservants. If you, however, accuse us of encouraging prostitution, then we can only ask, where is that woman within these three worlds who is not captivated by your beauty and the rhythmic songs vibrated by your transcendental flute? Within these three worlds, there is no distinction between men and women in relation to you, because both men and women belong to the marginal potency of Prakriti. No one is actually the enjoyer or the male. Everyone is meant to be enjoyed by you. There is no woman within these three worlds who cannot but deviate from her path of chastity once she is attracted to you, because your beauty is so sublime that not only men and women, but cows, birds, beasts, and even trees, fruits and flowers, everyone and everything become enchanted. And what to speak of ourselves? It is, however, definitely decided that as Lord Vishnu is always protecting the demigods from the onslaught of demons, so you have also advented in Vrindavan just to give the residents protection from all kinds of distress. Oh, dear friend of the distress, kindly place your hand on our burning breasts as well as our heads, because we have surrendered unto you as your eternal maidservants. If you think, however, that your lotus-like palms might be burned to ashes if placed on our burning breasts, let us assure you that your palms will feel pleasure instead of pain, as the lotus flower, although very delicate and soft, enjoys the scorching heat of the sun.
Thank you. There was so much in that purport that Prabhupada has given us. Would anyone like to comment on that?
Well, how about Sukara?
Well, Sukita, would you like to comment on that? How about friend of the distressed? That really stuck right out on me. You have to unmute if you're going to speak.
They're just so desiring Krishna, just for Krishna to place his hand on them, that they're going to say anything and do anything to have that relationship with him.
Oh, sounds like total surrender. So beautiful. Thank you. Anyone else want to say something? Hushra? No.
One of the concepts in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, especially, is that we're encouraged to try to learn the mood of the Brijbasis in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to God, and learn from their example how to develop love for the person. In this chapter, in this paragraph, as Sukada was reading it, I was just appreciating how attracted they are. They're saying that you've told us that we should serve our husbands and we should go home and we should not encourage adultery and prostitution. But what woman within all three worlds wouldn't be attracted to you? Everyone is, everyone, because naturally you're their most dear friend, you're the most attractive, you're the most beautiful, you're the most famous, he owns all the opulences, but they're understanding the person with such love that it's meant to inspire us to allow our hearts to also open to that personality and have a change of heart, as described in the second canto.
Bhushra?
Yes, thank you, Dhruva Maharaj. Yeah, it's describing there about the sweetness, like we only have an understanding of sweetness when it comes to sugar or if it's a super ecstatic kirtan, or just even a vision of the deity. But there's one, excuse me, there's one verse from Gita Govind. It's Madaram Madre Biopi Mangal Nawe. Madaram Madaram Vabarasave Bor. Madaram Madaram Vadaram Madaram. Marugandi Medus Mitame Tarahor. Madaram 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 Madaram. Oh my Lord, the transcendental body of Lord Krishna is very sweet, and his face is even sweeter than his body. The sweet smile on his face has a fragrance of honey, which is sweeter still. So that's it, is that, they keep using madhu for the description of sweetness. Even when you do abhishek, there's a whole verse just for the honey that's being offered in abhishek. So it's about the closest we can get, honey, for the description of sweetness. But in spiritual relationships, it just keeps increasing millions and millions of times when you actually get into Ras, when you're on that platform.
Also, one more point is that, we're always talking about how the gopis have a very familiar relationship with Krishna, but they know he is the supreme lover, the supreme person who has the supreme smile and who has the supreme love for all living entities. And that actually, in a way, increases their love for him because he's the topmost male. Anyone else? Madan? You have to unmute, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. I was just thinking that when we're hearing this, just as it enters our ear, it goes through the same channels that our mind goes through. So it's similar to us having these thoughts and not reject them. Where would we get these thoughts if we didn't hear this? So just Punya Shravanam Kirtan, just by hearing this, it's has a wonderful effect.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Shravanam, first thing. Thank you. Okay, so let's go on with Chetamayi. Would you like to read? Nice to see you here, my angel.
Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone. Dandava Pranams. So I'm starting at the top. Upon hearing the anxious plea of the gopis, the Supreme Personality of Godhead began to smile. And being very kind to the gopis, the Lord, although self-sufficient, began to embrace them and kiss them as they desired. When Krishna, smiling, looked at the faces of the gopis, the beauty of their faces became 100 times enhanced. When he was enjoying them in their midst, he appeared just like the full moon, surrounded by millions of shining stars. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, surrounded by hundreds of gopis and decorated with a flower garland of many colors, began to wander within the Vrindavan forest, sometimes singing to himself and sometimes singing with the gopis. In this way, both the Lord and the gopis reached the cool sandy bank of the Yamuna, where there were lilies and lotus flowers. In such a transcendental atmosphere, both the gopis and Krishna began to enjoy one another. While they were walking on the bank of the Yamuna, Krishna would sometimes put his arms around a gopi's head, breast, or waist. Pinching one another and joking and looking at one another, they enjoyed. When Krishna touched the bodies of the gopis, their lust to embrace him increased. They all enjoyed these pastimes. Thus, the gopis were blessed with all mercy by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for they enjoyed his company without a tinge of mundane sex life.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so start your comment if you have one, and everyone think about this, without a tinge of mundane sex life. That's the relationship and the supreme attraction between these topmost devotees in Krishna. What can you say about that, Chaita?
It's really the culmination of intimacy where there's no selfishness and there's just wanting to please the Vishai, the object of love. And it's amazing to realize that only the gopis have this privilege to have these kinds of amazing times with Krishna. No one else is privy to that. They can look on it from the outside, but the gopis are so amazingly fortunate to be a
Great
part of
point.
that. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anyone else want to comment on this one? Okay, then let's go on. Who's the Zoom user again? I don't know.
Someone signed in as Zoom user and we can't determine.
Sorry about that. It's me,
Oh, that's you.
Manvantara. I don't want to
Manvantara.
presume that I'm the only Zoom user, but
yeah.
Okay, so maybe everybody from now on, if they would, sign in if you know how to do it. And if you don't, call my husband. He knows how to do this stuff.
yeah, I was in a hurry to sign
okay,
in, so I did.
It's fine, Manvantara. We're
it's
just trying
fine,
to-
it's fine, but I'm
let's
just
work it
talking like
out.
for future, it would, trying to organize this because I kind of look at the names here. Okay, my darling, and for short, Zoom user. You're not going to get away without that. It's not. Go on, sweetie.
I wanted to ask if at the point where the gopis were saying, presenting their conversations or their arguments to his unsolicited arguments about why they should return home, is it safe to say then that the gopis are now out of their shyness, or Krishna has successfully purged them of their shyness? Their counter arguments. Is it safe to say that at this point?
I think so. He broke all of their what is that called? Defense mechanisms, I guess.
Yes, absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah, the rust would not begin unless the shyness was broken, because you cannot offer sincerely the angas of your body conjugally unless full shyness is broken.
And that's without any sex desire whatsoever. This is a total.
There is no, because Mataji told very nicely that selfishness is the quality of mundane sex desire. But in the body of the gopis, they only have desire to please Krishna. It's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Atma Sukhi Dukhe, Gopya na karele vichar, that the gopis have no self-interest for their own happiness. All of their feelings are geared towards how Krishna will be happy. So Krishna just wanted them to openly express that, and once that shyness was broken, then they can go ahead and continue with exchange of bodily limbs, etc.
One other feature we'll find, however, as the Leela unfolds even further, is that in order for that current, it's flowing freely now, but to intensify it, different things will happen to churn it even more. And we'll find out that as we progress. There are no aspersions of culmination in it. From the Brahma Samhita.
Are we saying then that they're uninhibited? Would that be correct?
Yeah. But as Mukunda was pointing out, they're we'll see at the very end of the chapter, they enjoy intimately, and as he pointed out, you can't do that unless you're completely free, not self-conscious anymore.
Okay, thank you. Shall we go on, Manvantara? Why don't you read, Manvantara?
Thank you. The gopis, however, soon began to feel very proud, thinking themselves to be the most fortunate women in the universe by being favored by the company of Krishna. Lord Krishna, who is known as Keshava, could immediately understand their pride caused by their great fortune of enjoying him personally, and in order to show them his causeless mercy and to curb their false pride, he immediately disappeared from the scene, exhibiting his opulence of renunciation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always full with 6 kinds of opulences, and this is an instance of the opulence of renunciation. This renunciation confirms Krishna's total non-attachment. He is always self-sufficient and is not dependent on anything. This is the platform of which the transcendental pastimes are enacted. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 29th chapter of Krishna, the Rasa Dance introduction. May I
You have
ask?
to unmute, Sama. Go ahead, Mamata.
So I was thinking about this, the breaking of the pride. You know, when Krishna said, "I will not pride, but shyness. I will destroy the shyness of these girls, so that they can express." So then I was thinking, how does that happen for us? Because like Krishna is absolutely capable of breaking our conditioning to material nature. And when you surrender, I'm experiencing that I also still bring my conditioning into Krishna consciousness, how it's being executed and so forth. And in that conditioning, sometimes I'm aware of it and sometimes I'm not. And I can see how it interferes with my progressive growth, if I could say that. And so sometimes I wonder what does that look like when Krishna breaks whatever it is, that problem that you have, or whatever conditioning that the Jiva soul has. I mean,
Whoa. Hare
I don't know.
Krishna.
I know. So sometimes I think it's like suffering, and then sometimes I think, well, maybe it's not suffering. Maybe I don't know.
Well, when it's broken, when you're that
When
the
yeah.
conditioning that we feel in this
Mm,
material world, when it's broken, there's got to be joy. I mean, we've had inklings of it, that there's happiness, there's great joy, there's,
mm,
even if I dare say the word, liberation.
mm,
You're no longer encased by the material energy. You're
mm,
free from it and able to see things as they are.
mm.
And that happens, it takes a little time for sure. Just like my husband said something the other day about inconceivably liberated.
Mm.
So at one point it will be conceivable. Patience, my dear. That's one of the things we have to, that verse, Tatenu Kalpam Shushimikshmano, we have to endeavor with faith, and we have to have patience.
Akaranath has his hand up.
Karanathji.
When we're talking about the gopis' false pride, I always wonder, I mean, these are, some of them are eternally Krishna's associates. Here they are in the rasa dance. There isn't really material illusion in their false pride, is there? Isn't this a transcendental kind of false pride?
Oh, good. Patsy, we were talking about that.
Yes, we were. In the very first verse of the chapter, you remember it described that there were 2 words that were emphasized, Bhagavanapi, meaning he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Yogamaya Upashritam, that he took shelter of Yogamaya. So by establishing that fact at the very beginning of the Leela, everything subsequently is being directed and orchestrated by Yogamaya on different levels with different energies. And as we'll read, and we'll get into that part, Akaranath, don't want to go right now to that point, but their pride and more about it will be described by Vishwanath Chakrabarti and expanded upon when we get to that part. So if we can just leave it at that for now, that will be answered. And then when we get to it, we can further discuss it.
Can I just say one teeny weeny thing about that real quick? just a comparison to Krishna himself being a baby. I mean, he actually is believing that he's a baby. His godhood is off to the side. This is not like a play for him. This is reality. Yeah, it's not a make-believe story. So when Yoga Maya enters, it's an energy which allows the participant to experience this reality, that he's not the Supreme Personality of God. His mother is really, his pearl necklace is shaking and his earrings are shaking and he's afraid. So in the same way, these relationships, all of them, including the ones with the gopis, they're real relationships. They feel this guilty or adharmic and they don't want to. It's real on a transcendental platform. Mukundi, can you add something to that? Unmute, Prabhu.
I think Sophia had her hand up first, though.
Oh,
I'll be really short, but she had
Who
her hand
else
up.
has their hand up?
Chaita
Chata?
and Bahudra.
Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead.
Hare
Mukundan.
Krishna, regarding Krishna's opulence of renunciation, is that save and except for full dependency on Lord Krishna? Is that where we're headed as sadhakas, to become completely self-sufficient and not dependent on anybody or anything else?
Only dependent on Krishna and the spiritual master.
Right.
And if you ask the six Goswamis, they're dependent on the advanced association. It's not that we're not dependent on that. We're not dependent in a materially tinged way. That would be my understanding. Anyone else? Let's see what who was the next one to have the answer.
How do you vote? So just really briefly, the word pride here doesn't mean like pride as we know it. The actual verse says tat sobhagyamad. Sobhagyamad is a kind of feeling of exceptionalism because each gopi was dancing with Krishna alone. So just as an example, if you were very fortunate and you were on a morning walk with our Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada called your name and came over and put his arm around you and said, I am so appreciative of your service. So inadvertently, you'll have a feeling of, oh, how amazing this is. You understand? So it's not like a mundane pride that arises. It is called sabhagyamad, means good fortune creating in a kind of intoxication.
All right, thank you. Bahusha also had his hand up, Tom.
Yeah, Mataji, very nice. She brought up the point about the opulence, excuse me, of renunciation. And the thing is, generally, these type of opulences, we consider them as Aishvarya. But here it is, it's related to Ras in relationship to Krishna's opulence in this way. In Ras, he's actually showing renunciation. So it's not like an Aishvarya thing.
Right. Yeah, different kind. Different mood also. It's a different mood. This is a very intimate, familiar mood with the gopis. And they really are feeling these things. But as Mukunda said, these are not mundane things. There is pride. We had a conversation this morning about this pride. It's not pride the way we see it, but it was enough pride. The taste of pride was there, so Krishna removed himself to enhance the ras. Right? Okay.
And that will be described as we continue. And just remember, when we go into Sarartha Darshini, this is the same end of the chapter that we just read in Krishna book.
Okay, that's where we're going to go now. Sachi, would you like to read? You have to unmute. Where did she go?
Seeing your face encircled by curling locks of hair. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Your cheeks beautified by earrings, your lips full of nectar, and your smiling glance, and also seeing your two imposing arms, which take away our fear, and your chest, which is the only source of pleasure for the goddess of fortune. We must become your maidservants. Purport by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Krishna's face accents the beauty and splendor of his shimmering earrings, and his face also exhibits the nectar from his lips. All these descriptions apply to Krishna's face as a compound adjective, modifying a single noun, mukam, his face. Gopis. Krishna's face is filled with smiling glances which cause the blossoming of the gopis' smiles and the night-blooming lotuses. Krishna. Your husbands will not tolerate this behavior of ours. They will complain bitterly to King Kamsa, thus producing a fearful situation for me and for you as well, the gopis. But Krishna, your two mighty arms make us fearless, just as they did when you held up Govardhan Hill to protect us from the pride of Mahendra. Those arms will certainly kill that beast of Kamsa.
You have to unmute, Sama.
Sorry. Tell me something about those mighty arms. The reference to the mighty arms did something to my heart. What is that? What does that do? Anyone can say. And Sachi, if you'd like to say.
The ultimate place of safety and sanctuary
Oh, that sounds
in the
good.
material or spiritual world. But of course, they're referring to his rasa with the Govardhan Hill. If he can hold up Govardhan Hill, he can certainly be a respite place for us as conditioned souls.
Nice, you got it.
Thank you. I knew you'd have something great to say.
Ah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Bhushra.
Yeah, when it mentions there about the arms expanding, it's one of the mystic powers, and all Jiva souls have that ability once they actually become perfected. The thing is that Krishna, he has these unlimited arms that can expand unlimitedly and please each individual gopi in the rasa dance. So his arms are just unlimitedly expanding. So even though they use the Sahasra, Shirsha, Purushaha, and Purusha Shukta, where his arms are everywhere, the thing is that for Krishna, he's actually expands for each gopi at the same time. The other gopi doesn't know that Krishna's with him. Doesn't know, is only with him or her.
It's also interesting, just like the Achintya Beta Beta Tattva concept, that we're noticing, like you mentioned, the millions of arms everywhere. That's one point of view, and he certainly has that. But these gopis, they're simply seeing the young boy from the village and understanding how powerful his arms are. They've seen it before. They've experienced it when he held up Govardhan Hill. And as young girls, their natural attraction for a male who's powerful is inherent. And therefore, they're expressing that to him as well.
Also, another thing is that in the descriptions, Samudrika Shastra, in there they describe how the actual long limbs are a very auspicious thing with the arms are going down to the knees. So Krishna had that. He had it where his arms were down to his knees or beyond. And the thing is that they're considered to be like serpents. And so they would see that as a very loving form of Krishna.
Kurnath, do you have your hand up, Prabhu?
Yes, and I think it's still related to this point. I had my hand up before when we were talking about.
I can't see on the screen. I'm sorry. Do it like this sometimes because it goes up to the corner and I can't see. But
well, I didn't have my hand up right now, but it still relates to now.
Okay.
When we were talking about being dependent only on Krishna. When I forget who it was mentioned, maybe Celia was mentioning, do we become also independent like Krishna is? And the answer was, we become independent of anyone and anything but Krishna. And that reminded me of the 6 symptoms of surrender. And a couple of those symptoms were, to always see Krishna as our only protector and to feel completely helpless. And that's also a feeling of this Durbhirasyana Dharma, Krishna's arms, protecting us from all evil.
Nice connection, Kurnath. Good.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Could I say one thing? It reminded me a couple days ago, there was a posting of devotee asking Prabhupada, what is humility? And, we have our different understandings where he said it in different ways. But this particular time, he says, when you realize that nothing can protect you, your family cannot protect you, your doctors cannot protect you. And he went through a long list of all the things when we realize that only Krishna can protect you. So I was thinking that would fit really nice because they were being accused of pride. Here they are saying, you're our only protection.
Good.
And that's humility. So.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Good. Shall we go on? Satri, did you want to read the next paragraph?
I kind of lost my place.
Okay, no problem. We'll come back then. Tisha, would you like to read? So nice to see you here, Dom.
Hare Krishna, good to see
Hare
you all.
Krishna.
In this way, the Shringara Rasa, conjugal love, is nourished by a hint of Virya Rasa, chivalry. Krishna, as I follow the path of Dharma, I cannot make others' wives my maidservants. Pointing to his index finger at himself, Krishna asks, do you understand who I am? Gopis, yes, of course we do. You are the crest jewel of religious personalities. You may say that you refuse to make the cowherds' wives your maidservants, but by force you have already taken Lakshmi, the wife of Narayan, from Vaikunta and are carrying her around on your chest. Out of modesty, she has assumed the form of a golden lion and sports prominently on your chest. Besides, we know this for certain, that within all the 14 worlds, and even above these worlds, in Vaikuntha Loka, beyond this universe, you never reject any beautiful woman, no matter who she is or whom she belongs to.
What do you think about that, Tisha?
I'm just really trying to absorb what everyone is thinking, so I think it's all very beautiful, and I'm still trying to do my best to understand.
Okay. Who can say something about Krishna being, he doesn't care whose wife it is. He doesn't care any relationship that we have in the material world. Ruchra?
Correct me if I'm wrong, or someone correct me if I remember the story improperly. The gopis wanted to go see Durvasa on the other side of one of the rivers. And the thing is that they were told that say to the Jamuna, I think it was the Jamuna, one of the rivers, that that Krishna is a brahmachari. And then the water will open up and allow you to pass. So the thing is that, immediately you'd think, oh, wait a minute, Krishna's a brahmachari? But the thing is, when they said that, then they were able to pass across the river to go to Durvasa's side. And then on the other side, there was something else they were supposed to say. I forget the exact, if anyone wants to fill in.
Well, this reminds me of what we just read before, how this has nothing to do with mundane sex life. He is the greatest lover, has nothing to do with mundane sex life, and he's a brahmachari. So it's an amazing understanding, if you can understand that.
I think one of the points Mukunda sort of put into what he was just talking about with pride was that sex life in the material world has some element of selfishness due to the desire to enjoy. Since Krishna is Atmarama and completely self-satisfied, he's not influenced like that. So when he loves someone, when he wants to be intimate with them, his approach and side of the loving affairs is not tinged with selfishness. It's true, pure love. That's what's so wonderful about the combination of Radha and Krishna. Each one of them wants to make the other one pleased and happy. And that competition is unending and everlasting. So it's completely different. Well, It is. It is very different than what we experience in this world.
Could I ask a question? In the last Shikshashtaka prayer, when Radharani is in that mood, he says to Krishna that you're a rascal after all. Is that chiding type of ideas? Is that similar to this?
There are different translations of that. Certainly Radharani and the gopis, they have that kind of mood of chastising him. But Lord Chaitanya, when he says it, you are my Lord unconditionally. You can make me brokenhearted by not being present before me or crush me in your embrace. So this is the way we interpret, we meditate on that verse.
I was just thinking of the one that it's in chapter 20 of the
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
The Chaitanya Charitamrita has quite a bit of different translation, but I was thinking of that one.
That's a very intimate mood, which we're touching upon right now. You're right. There is. I would say that there is some kind of chastisement. Mukundaji, can you take that?
Yeah, it's explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita that after Mahaprabhu heard the sonnet of Advaita Acharya that it was time to end his pastimes, he became absorbed in the mood of Radhika when she was at Uddhav Kyari after Krishna had left Vrindavan. So progressively, the Shikshashtakam is expressing different stages of that mood of Radhika. Finally, in the 8th verse, he's describing that our prem can never be broken under any condition. So even if you make me brokenhearted, even if you sport with other lovers in front of me, still you are my worshipful Lord. But here worshipful means my prem nath, means my Lord of my love unconditionally. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has written a whole book on this called Prem Samput. Yes. And this book describes that kind of unbreakable love.
For everyone's something to look forward to, Prem Samputa is part of the course materials later in the Leela.
Yeah. So, drinking all the nectar, going to all the real good flowers here. Okay. Jagarini, you want to continue here?
Thank you. Yes. I'm doing vases while I'm listening here.
Okay.
40.
Non-stop devotional service.
Dear Krishna, what woman in all the 3 worlds wouldn't deviate from religious behavior when bewildered by the sweet, drawn-out melody of your flute? Your beauty makes all 3 worlds auspicious. Indeed, even the cows, birds, trees, and deer manifest the ecstatic symptom of bodily hair standing on end when they see your beautiful form. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, Krishna said, since you have given up as dead the path of duty, what effect will that have on other women who are faithful to their husbands? You will corrupt them by the logic of the statement. A shameless person contaminates not only himself, but also everyone else he contacts. On seeing this splendid golden line, which appears by chance on my chest, you insulted Lakshmi herself, who is the most excellent of chaste women. Why are you offending Lakshmi Devi? Gopis, we are not blaming Lakshmi Devi at all. Rather, it is you who have been sent by the Creator to destroy the religious principles throughout the 3 worlds. The gopis say this with angry naughtiness. Gopis, O Krishna, all women are bewildered by the sweet tones of your flute.
Oh, boy. Okay, Jagarini, what do you have to say about that?
Oh, it's just back and forth. Back and forth. Krishna's just, it's what Mukunda was saying earlier. He's just, tearing it down, tearing all their shyness away, just working them. And they're not resisting. They can't resist. They're taking the bait with everything he does. They're taking the bait, and but I did have one comment about all the things we were discussing. I mean, to be one of these gopis, even to be a one of the gopis that come from the, I forget words a lot, but the gopis that come from the
Sadhana
Siddha gopis, okay. even them. I mean, we can see with Prabhupada's program, to become a pure devotee in this material world, just before we even leave this material world, if we can make it to become pure devotees, these things fall away from us: the sex desire, the pride. So to get to that platform where you're a sadhana siddhi gopi, it's not the same. So when you say, what's it like, without sex desire? Well, come on, they don't have real sex desire. They've already, gotten to that point where they're pure devotees, at least pure devotees, minimum pure devotees, right? So the type of desires that the gopis are experiencing, and the type of things that Krishna is trying to, weed off of them, are very transcendental, subtle emotions that, I can't comprehend. It's not like anything we experience in this flesh and blood, kind of contaminated form that we're in, So they're all
I have a nice example. We all know the example that the inner consciousness of a person is compared with a lotus flower. Like yogis, the chakra of their hearts is they're attempting through the different Ashtanga yoga processes to reach deeper into the core of their consciousness. And we have love of Krishna lying there, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, Sadhya Kabanoy. So the process that Krishna's employing through Yogamaya and these exchanges is like, even though the lotus is completely opened, if you look at them, the outer petals are very wide and expansive, but right around the whorl, they're tighter. And in order to get down into the actual core takes some wooing and some processing. Even though they're completely pure and surrendered, still rasa is such that we all have inherent a natural tendency to kind of hold tighter way deep down inside. So this process is meant to open that and blossom it.
Can I say something here? The material world, it has such a grip. Material energy has such a grip on us, and we're spending so much time trying to get free of it. A lot of it comes from mercy, I think. We have to get the mercy of the pure devotee, and to the extent that we are cultivating our relationship with the pure devotees and with the spiritual master, to that extent, we will develop our love for Krishna. So everything to keep us in a humble position. It's not that we're going to get anywhere out of the entanglement of the material world without the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. He's who we take shelter of here, and saintly association. We need mercy. We are the original mercy cases. That's us. Hare Krishna. Okay,
also, could I say just one little thing? Aren't they 8 years old or 7 years old at this time?
Oh, we had a whole discussion.
We've already discussed that.
I don't think they grow a year and a half. Do they also? Or is it?
We've already gone through.
We went through that.
Yeah, plus 3 years, right? It's added 3 years or something.
Yes.
So they're actually like 10 or 11.
That was like 1.5 times, correct, Mukunda?
So they also do the same thing as Krishna, as growing up a year and a half each time?
In the eternal world, everybody has their age.
This is not the eternal world. This is the Prakat Lila.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So they're doing the same
Mukunda
thing
had
that
an
Krishna
actual
does.
reference. What was it?
Dhruva, you just told what you just told. It's written by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the commentary that the ages should be considered by 1.5. But the age is not as important as the category. So there's a category called Kaishor, which means the age at which you start to develop conjugal dealings. So rather than focus on the numbers, if you focus on that category of Kaishor, when Krishna is of age to experience conjugal dealings, and the gopis are also of that age to experience conjugal dealings, that's what it's referring to.
I think that's what Madan was asking. We heard it about Krishna. Yeah. Does it also apply to the gopis?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just say, Mukunda, I think it's more, and correct me if I'm wrong, instead of conjugal dealings, conjugal feelings, which will produce the conjugal dealings later. It's not they don't immediately act upon the conjugal dealings. It's a whole thing where the conjugal feelings become.
Yeah, the Acharya is mentioning that what happens is that when they are a little bit younger, before they're fully blossomed into their teenage years, they have what is called Purvarag. So it's a desire to act on those things,
That's it.
and they act on it mentally. And they
Yes.
also act on it by what is called Kataksha Vilas, means by their eyes. So if they see Krishna passing, the way that they look at each other, like in high school, for a mundane example, any young girl likes a boy, that boy passes, there's glancing, but there's no actual activity of them touching or anything, but there's that mood.
Yeah. So it starts with the feelings first.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on with Jai Jagadish. Would you like to read this next verse and purport?
I
And
I apologize. I've been coughing an awful lot. I think it'll be
I'm
just
sorry.
too disturbing. Thank you, though.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Mukunda, why don't you read? You have to unmute, sweetie.
Right at where it says clearly, correct?
I thought we just read
Yes,
it.
text 41.
Yes.
Okay. Clearly you have taken birth in this world to relieve the fear and distress of the people of Braj. Just as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the primeval Lord, protects the domain of the demigods. Therefore, friend of the distress, kindly place your lotus hands on your maidservants' heads and burning breast. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. The Braj Gopi said, enough of this show of cleverness. Now stop trying to hide your true feelings. Reversing the tables here. This statement is made directly without hidden intentions. You remove the Brijavasi's fear of the forest fire and their distress due to the rainstorms. You appear in the house of Nanda from the womb of Yashoda, just as Narayan took birth from the womb of Aditi. Everyone in the world knows this fact. But if millions of these gopis die today, their parents will experience great grief, thinking, how have these girls, for whom there was always one worshipful God, met their death in the forest? They will feel very fearful over the fact that in just one day, they all died in the forest. Krishna, then what do you want? The gopis reply, O friend of the distress, please place your lotus hands on our burning breasts. Krishna, but my tender hands will get burned. Gopis, we have to raise it up a little bit, Prabhuji. Okay. Okay. But then my hands will get burned. Though the breasts of your servants are burning, these instruments of service will not burn your hands. Just as the scorching sun does not cause pain to the lotus, rather they fill your hands with pleasure. Please place your hand on our heads and bless us that in the future we will have no fear of rejection by you.
Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. These instruments of service. How can you explain that?
Yeah, it's explained that in conjugal love or Madhurya Rasa, the primary thing is called Nija Anga Seva. So Nija Anga means to offer all of the limbs of your body conjugally to Krishna. So he's saying here that these instruments of service, like our head, our breast, etc., they actually will give you pleasure. And our only desire is to give you pleasure. So don't have any fear. And also this conversation is actually Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's, it's called a Bhav Anuvad. It means he's experiencing this dialogue because it's not actually
Right,
written
of course.
but in his own absorption, he's experiencing this dialogue of the questions and answers between Krishna and the gopis.
Right.
And he's answering by the expertise of the gopis how they're defeating Krishna, which is in our line, our primary mood is to follow Shrimati Radharani. So being happy to see how the gopis so intelligently are defeating Krishna is part of tasting rasa for those in this line.
Okay, one question, back up for 1 second, about, we have to always remind ourselves that this is not mundane.
Of course. Yeah.
It's really important because we're not quite at the point of we're still absorbed in the matter. So, we have to always realize somehow or another, if we can understand this with transcendental senses, it has nothing to do with the limbs of the body that we see. You know?
Yeah, yeah. It's very
Really
difficult to
important
understand
point.
unless you have developed some sambandha again. So that's another kind of class and another subject, but that's really important. But also now we see that the gopis have fully given up their shyness. They're openly telling, you touch me. So that's the original, back in context to the original thing that Krishna wanted. Bhuta Bhavana Karanam. You tell me what you came here for is the last thing. So they're openly expressing that now.
Right. Thank you.
Sama,
Thank
just
you.
looking at the list,
Better
Shruti
go.
Bhupa and Ekadasi.
Yeah,
haven't-
I had them
haven't-
on for next right now. But first, Akurnath.
Well, I just was thinking that this is a striking example of how Srila Prabhupada is, in the Krishna book, he's bringing in things that are from the Vishwanath's commentary. Because we read this about how the lotuses will enjoy the scorching heat of the sun. It's not there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but it's there in the commentary. And Srila Prabhupada had all these commentaries, Jiva Goswami, so many commentaries, and then he would incorporate them into his purports and also into the Krishna book.
So,
I think it was Jagarini brought up a couple of weeks ago that I think it was, it might have been someone else. We were talking, just appreciating how Srila Prabhupada has woven this story. Somebody gave the example, we even read it to our kids. Yet it's also incorporating the highest sentiments of the Supreme Person with his most intimate lovers. It's astounding that he's done such a work.
and we see how the process is actually working because, and we also discussed more than 50 years ago, we were reading this and we had one understanding, and now we're reading it hopefully with deeper and deeper understanding of the same exact words that we read to our children. And that's called spiritual knowledge. That's spiritual. Prabhupada's books are totally 100% spiritual, or they wouldn't ever fresh. The taste would not still be here if it was some mundane thing that we're reading to two completely different kinds of people. All right, so we're going to go on. Vinod, would you like to read? Vinod Vani?
I'd have to unmute.
Is she there? I don't see. Okay, Vinod Vani, we'll have to come back to you. Shruti, you want to read? You have to unmute.
Okay.
There you go.
42. Sukadev Goswami said, smiling upon hearing these despondent words from the gopis, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Master of all masters of mystic yoga, mercifully enjoyed with them, although he is self-satisfied. Commentary. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, even though Krishna is self-satisfied, he derived great pleasure from joking affectionately with his beloved. Just see how astonishing is the love of the gopis. In the Atmarama's Cha Munnayo verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7.10, the line Itam Bhuta Guno Hari glorifies the magnificent qualities of Krishna. In the present verse, the greatness of the gopis, prema is glorified because the gopis are the Haldini Shakti manifestations of Krishna's internal potency. Arising directly from Krishna, they are also the Atma manifestations of his own self, of Krishna. Therefore, it was possible for Krishna to sport with them. Thus, although Krishna is self-satisfied, Atmarama, he derives more joy from his devotees than even from his own self, as confirmed in his own words. My dear Uddhava, neither Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Shankarshan, the goddess of fortune, nor indeed my own self are as dear to me as you are. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:14-15. O best of the Brahmanas, without saintly persons for whom I am the only destination, I do not desire to enjoy my transcendental bliss and my supreme opulence.
Oh, can you explain that last section?
Well, I was going to ask the question, what does he mean here by without saintly persons? For whom I am the only.
Asked you. I just asked you that. Okay.
Yeah, well,
Let's
that's
put
what's
that
in
out.
my mind. I do not.
Let's ask everyone. Who can say? Why does Krishna say that with this, without saintly persons, for whom I am the only destination? I do not desire to enjoy my transcendental bliss and my supreme opulence. What does that mean? First of all, he's not an impersonalist.
Also, in the verses that we're reading every day, for those who are attracted only to his majestic aspect of Narayan in Vaikuntha, the Lord herein reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. So he's saying here that, O best of the Brahmins, without saintly persons, for whom I am the only destination, I do not desire to enjoy my transcendental bliss. In other words, when someone approaches him with such love, they have no, he's their only destination. They've given up everything for him. His nature, Yayatam mam prapadyante, it's inherent within him. He'll naturally respond accordingly. And therefore, he doesn't want anything but them.
But is he referring to the gopis as saintly persons?
No, this is a verse that Vishwanath is using to confirm. Let me put it up again so that we can see how it is in context. He's saying here, therefore it was possible for Krishna for Krishna to sport with them because they were his own energy. Thus, although Krishna is self-satisfied, he derives more joy from his devotees than even from his own self, as confirmed by his own words. And these are references which confirm that concept.
Still confusing to me.
In other words, Krishna wants the association of his devotees. Krishna wants, just like we want to be with Krishna.
Yes.
That's exactly it. He wants loving relations. Chaita, you have a question or something to say? Chaita Mai?
Yes, just that he is so much enamored of relationships that he goes beyond self-satisfaction. He's got to have his Haribol.
Good, thank you.
I got just for a quick question, sorry to interrupt. That in the Gayatri Mantra, we have this word Vishrambraya. I think it's what the fifth line, and that the Lord, he's set up this whole universe, Lord Chaitanya, and I always connected it with this particular this verse. Right now, what we're saying is that ultimate, that Nityasiddha Krishna Prem, that this is Krishna, like his primary principle of everything, that even the whole creation, it's built into it, this point. Is that accurate, or is it all right?
What point, Vedant? That he wants to have relationships with his devotees?
Well, in that line, when it mentions Vishrambraya, the general definition is that is the Vishva is the universe, and he's created, maintains it, and because we're not Vishnu Bhaktas in one sense, because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, the civic session, then I thought that was what that was meaning in another sense, and that's what the whole place is for. That's what everything is for. Is this is the key fundamental element of Krishna.
All right, that's not exactly clear, but Mukunda, can you help us out here?
Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing first, that when it says that Krishna is Atmaram, it's mentioned in scriptures, and I will translate it, Didi, because I know my wife gets on me, and you gave me my chastisement for saying things in Sanskrit and not translating them. So it's mentioned that Krishna is Atmaramata. Atmaramas iti prokta, what is it? Atmaramas iti prokta munibir guryavedibir. The confidential meaning of Krishna's Atmaramata is Atmaramas tu Radhika tasya Ramana evanaso. That Radha is doing Ramana, or giving pleasure in the heart of Krishna, is why he is called Atmaram. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's the statement, Radha Krishna Chayisada Eka Iswarup. Radha and Krishna are not really two people. They're one person, and that person's energy. Leela Rasa Dite Dari Duiru. They've separated themselves into two forms,
Excellent.
taste the experience of Leela and Rasa. But actually, Radha and Krishna are one person, the person in their energy. All the gopis who are Nitya Siddha, they are called Kaya Vyuha, or the expansions of that one Radha. Sadhana Siddha gopis are those who have obtained a perfection to serve Radha. That's what's called Manjari Bhav, etc. So we're getting off course. Yes, I won't go any further than
But
that.
they're not manjaris, the Munichari gopis that were with their
No.
husbands
No.
and are sadhana siddhas.
They're Southern Siddhas and the Shruti-chari gopis.
Yeah.
They're exceptions, but Ujjwalini Mani explains, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains in Jayava Dharma, those who have come in the line of practice, their obtainable goal in Madhurya Rasa is called Palyadasi Bhav.
But these gopis that aren't you talking about two different groups?
Yeah, Shruti-charis and Muni-charis.
Okay, just
The
clarify.
Muni-charis were given a benediction by Ram because they wanted to enjoy.
With him.
The Shruti-charis, seeing the fortune of the gopis, were also given benediction directly by the Lord to enjoy as the gopis like Lalita, Visakha, Chandra, etc. enjoy.
Right.
But the sadhakas who are practicing in the line
of Lord Chaitanya.
In the line of Chaitanya,
right.
Unata Ujjwala Rasa Swabhakti Swiyam.
Right.
They have the ability, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, to serve that kind of prem. That is called Manjari Bhava Palyadasi Bhava.
Nice. I'm glad we cleared that up because I had been wondering where you were going with that. Okay.
Thank you. Kuranath, did you want to say something?
Yes. The verse that's quoted in the 9th canto is Lord Narayan is telling Durvasa Muni about his relationship with King Ambarish and how he can't forgive Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni has to get forgiveness from his devotee who is more dear than himself. But it's in the Upanishads, it says Ekopa Hosyam, the one became many, and that's in order to enjoy. And of course, it's to enjoy the reciprocation of pure devotional service with pure devotees. We know that that's one of the qualities of pure devotional service, that it's the only thing that actually attracts Krishna. But the Mayavadis say, we were talking about this the other day in the Chaitanya Charitamrita group, that they say the one, which is impersonal Brahman, became many by putting themselves in Maya so they could enjoy suffering in the material world.
Oh, good for them.
That's their interpretation. But the actual interpretation is that Krishna finds more enjoyment in his interaction, his reciprocation of love with pure devotees than he does in simply being self-satisfied.
The one became many. Patsy, put it back to the verse. We should go on to the next verse now.
I can't do that. We got to move on. I already.
Put it back.
I already adjusted that page, so it's going to be different than you see it.
Okay. Well, anyway, that exactly answers the verse that we were discussing, Kuranath. Thank you. That one became many. Why? Because he wants relationships with everyone, isn't it? Okay, there you go. Okay, let's go on now.
Sama, just so you know, let's read the rest.
We're going to read the rest.
You can have different readers do it because there's a few.
Okay.
And then we'll discuss.
Okie dokie. All right. Let me just ask if Vinod Vani is here. Vinod, are you here? Okay, let's go on with Ekadasi Vrat. Would you like to
Hare
read?
Krishna. Yes, thank you. And my apologies for being late. Text 43, Sarartha Darshini. Among the assembled gopis, the infallible Lord Krishna appeared just like the moon surrounded by stars. He whose activities are so magnanimous made their faces blossom with his affectionate glances, and his broad smiles revealed the effulgence of his jasmine bud-like teeth. 44.
Yes.
Sarartha Darshini. As the gopis sang his praises, that leader of hundreds of women sang loudly in reply. He moved among them wearing his Vaijayanti garland, beautifying the Vrindavan forest. 45 and 46. Sri Krishna went with the gopis to the bank of the Jamuna, where the sand was cooling and the wind, enlivened by the river's waves, bore the fragrance of lotuses. There, Krishna threw his arms around the gopis and embraced them. He aroused Cupid in the beautiful young ladies of Vraj by touching their hands, hair, thighs, belts, and breasts, by playfully scratching them with his fingernails, and also by joking with them, glancing at them, and laughing with them. In this way, the Lord enjoyed his pastimes.
Okay, why don't you read the next Koronats? Just read that purport. Thank you, Akadashi. We'll have a discussion after.
It may be questioned, how is it possible for Krishna to enjoy with millions of young women on the limited bank of the river where there was no privacy or love beds available? It was definitely possible because the personal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the land of Vrindavan are both unlimitedly powerful. Even a piece of land in Vrindavan as small as a sesame seed can expand into a vast area, full of unlimited private pleasure groves, replete with fragrant flower beds, betel nuts, sandalwood paste, perfumes, cool drinking water, and flower garlands. Everything was manifested by Krishna's Yogamaya potency, acting as the Akatana Katana Shakti, the power to make the impossible possible. When the pastimes were finished, Yogamaya again withdrew everything. In this way, everything was perfectly adjusted for the pleasure of Krishna and his premi bhaktas.
Okay, Bahushra, you want to read?
Text 47. The gopis became proud of themselves for having received such special attention from Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and each of them thought herself the best woman on earth. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The following situation was manifested by Krishna's Leela Shakti for the purpose of enhancing the sacred rapture in accordance with the logic presented in Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra. Quote, just as one cannot redden cloth or some other object without the use of red dye, in the same way the happiness of conjugal love, sambhoga, cannot reach its fullness without the experience of separation, vipralambena, unquote. The pretense of creating this separation is described in this verse. After having obtained the respect of Krishna, the original form of the personality of Godhead, who is the best among all men, and because of being able to enjoy intimately with him, each gopi became proud, thinking, quote, I am the most fortunate woman on the surface of the earth, unquote.
Okay, Patsy, did you want, we're going on, it looks like. But Don, you want to read a little? Thank you, Bahushra.
Okay. Text 48. Lord Keshava, seeing the gopis too proud of their good fortune, wanted to relieve them of this pride and show them further mercy. Thus he immediately disappeared. Shall I read the purport?
Yes.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Because Krishna was enjoying equally with all the gopis,
Vrishabhanu Nandini.
Vrishabhanu Nandini, Radha, the leading gopi, manifested a haughty feeling, mana, with angry eyes. The lesser ranking gopis became intoxicated with pride over their good fortune. Objecting to this, Krishna rectified the situation as described in this verse. The word tasam of them can also be divided into tat, indicating them, the women of Braj, and sa, she, Radha. Thus, the phrase should read, seeing the pride of the women of Braj and the anger of Radha.
Okay, Tisha, you want to finish up for us?
Yes. Me, right?
Yes, you, Tisha.
Thank you. Antaradiyata is an archaic usage meaning the same as antardadat, disappeared. From later verses, it can be understood that Krishna forcibly removed Vrasabhanu Nandini from the midst of the other gopis. To fulfill Krishna's desire, Yogamaya immediately arranged everything in such a way that the other gopis did not even notice Radha's departure.
Thank you. Patsy?
Yeah, I just want to mention a couple of quotes here that enhance, this goes back to Akrurana's question about the pride. To fulfill Krishna's desire, Yogamaya immediately arranged everything in such a way that the other gopis did not even notice Radha's departure. And here it is stated, this is a nice purport, which describes that this Leela Shakti, Bahushra read this, Krishna's Leela Shakti, in order to enhance the sacred rapture, according with the logic that for the purpose of enhancing sacred rapture, in accordance with the logic presented by Bharat Muni, Nata Shastra, just as one cannot redden a cloth or some other cloth or object without the use of red dye, in the same way, the happiness of conjugal love, sambhoga, which means meeting, union, cannot reach its fullness without the experience of separation, vipralambena. So the gopis and Krishna were on the banks of the Jamuna. They were already enjoying, but the fullness was still not manifested, and therefore something else had to happen in order to churn it to its next level. And it's described that separation does that. So their pride is part of that pretense, which brings about the result.
So another point, the last sentence of the verses of the purport we just read, that the gopis didn't even notice, due to Yogamaya, the gopis did not even notice that Radha had departed from them, that Krishna had taken Radha. Why do you think that is? Anyone? I have my own little.
I think that this is, it was such an important.
Please raise your hand next time, Adan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. That this is such an important point that Vishwanath Chakravarti wrote a whole another booklet on just this one particular point, isn't it, Dhruva?
Prema Samputa.
I think that's the same essence of this whole thing, just to clarify this point even more.
Well, that's one point. But another thing is that they were so absorbed in their own ras with Krishna, which is a very important lesson for all of us in the material world, to be so absorbed in our ras for Krishna that they didn't even notice that Radha had been taken. They're absorbed in their own bhav, and now they're going to be absorbed in their own feelings of separation. So we don't have to look what another person's relationship is with Krishna. We get distracted in this material world. But this point is really important on many different levels, I think, that the gopis didn't notice that Radharani was taken from the rasa dance to be with Krishna because of their own relationship. But they were so absorbed in their loving relationship with Krishna, they didn't even notice. So that's a good thing. Mukunda?
Haribol, actually, this is a really important point. There really is no Ras Leela without Radhika. In the Ramananda Samvad, it's mentioned there, Samyak Saravasana Krishna Ras Leela. Though this Rasa Leela is the most pinnacle of all of Krishna's pastimes, Rasa Leela Vasanate Radhika Shrinkala. The word Shrinkala means a thread that, like if you have pearls and you bind them together, that thread is called a Shrinkala. Radharani herself is the basis of Ras Leela. The gopis who became a little bit proud, for lack of a better word, were the Sadhana Siddha gopis who had come to Ras on that night. Their prem had not yet fully matured. So they were in the stage where they experienced what is called pranay, means the intimacy with Krishna, and a pride developed, a kind of, I don't want to use all the Sanskrit words because it'd be confusing, but like a kind of pride. It's called man, technically. And what happened?
Anger, right?
Yeah, anger. Kind of anger, but it's a hetuman. It means it was caused by their good fortune. When Radhika saw that, which is why Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur broke down the word ta-sam. Ta means those gopis who were dancing with Krishna. Sa meant Radhika, she was witnessing it, she saw it. And therefore she realized Krishna cannot ever become completely happy without my presence being essential. Therefore, Radhika disappeared, and when Radhika disappeared, Krishna left to follow her. But if the Sadhanasiddha gopis had seen that, because their prema has not yet reached the level of anurag, which is the basic level of conjugal love, if they had seen that, they may have become jealous of Radhika, which would have spoiled their advancement.
Okay, I gotta say something a little bit that we can have a conversation going here, but Radhika, whether she's present or not, is still influencing the whole thing, influencing the rasa dance.
Yes.
And influencing even the way the gopis are feeling absorbed in their own rasa with Krishna, just like Lord Chaitanya prays, feeling your separation. I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. This is what has the whole, we were discussing separation. This separation that Krishna is pulling Radha away and then separating from the gopis, ultimately separating from everything that's nourishing this ras. So
Yeah.
So we can't really think, or maybe it's semantics, but we can't really think that because Radha has physically, or whatever that word we could find, it's not physical, it's spiritual, but is removed from the rasa dance, that her influence and her presence is not being felt by everyone, or nothing would be felt. Do you know what I'm saying? She's the essence of the whole thing. So aside from the pride and everything, it's in the same mood of Lord Chaitanya, feeling that separation from Krishna. You can't have any of this ras without Srimati Radharani's influence.
She's the basis. So those gopis thought, Manyanyohi Adikam Bhuvi, I am the most fortunate woman in the world. When they thought like that, then when Radhika disappeared, it's going to prove to them, because when we get to the chapter later on, when they find Radhika after Krishna leaves her, they're going to glorify how Radhika is so great, because they're going to see her mood. At that time, they'll come together under the auspices of Radhika, and they'll recite what's called Gopi Geet.
Yeah.
So, their love is growing, and eventually the Sadhanasiddha gopis, their love will come to what is called Anurag. And at that time, their hearts will become one with Radhika's. Then they'll recite Gopi Geet. Then Krishna will reappear. So we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
But following that thread, I hope everybody heard what Mukunda just said. Following that same thread, some may wonder where that all comes from. How has that been squeezed out of these verses? There are books by both Rupa Goswami and Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur and other Goswamis, Raghunath Das Goswami, which explain these things.
Yes.
And fortunately, we've also included those in the course materials.
Okay.
So as we progress through this Leela, for example, you said the quote about when Radharani, when they find the footprints and they notice that Radha's the one gopi that's been taken, that conversation was explained and expanded upon between Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy, the Ramananda Samvada you mentioned. So we've included that within the course materials so that it's inherent within the whole Leela. That's why it's going to take us a few months to read it. Just to let everybody know, coming attractions.
So heavy and so deep. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, there was one earlier, it was mentioned about how Krishna, when he came before the gopis, he was wearing his Vaijanti Mala, his garland. And so it's mentioned in Gopal Champu, it says that his garland has 5 colors of flowers, like the 5 rasas. So Shantaras is white, Dasya Ras is multicolored, Sakya Ras is orange, Vatsalya Ras is crimson, and Madhurya Ras is Shama. So that's Gopal Champu. It's in the chapter Ornamenting Radha Krishna, chapter 34, page 1087, verse 86.
Beautiful. Thank you. Nice combo. Nice connection.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Do we need the mercy of all the great saintly people to understand what we're talking about here? Very wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you all. All glories to Ekadasi, all glories to your Kartik Vrat, I think, oh, we meet Tuesday again, so we'll have one more day before Kartik ends.
Is this also the first day of Bhishma Panchaka?
Yes, it
Yep,
is.
great, thank you.
Okay.
Jai
Thank you.
Kabose.
Kripa